I didn't eat turkey this year. I ate a reheated bowl of soup alone while my family posted photos of their feast online. They didn't forget me. They left me out, deliberately. My cranberry relish sat at their table. My bowl, my recipe, and Claire typed under the photo family secret. My work, my tradition, claimed like I never existed. That was the moment I called my lawyer. I said, strike their names, every one of them. They will inherit nothing. I posted my truth. One photo, me at my lonely table, a single candle, untouched food. And within hours, the world saw. Strangers called me brave. My family called me a disgrace. Claire banged on my door. Delete it, you're ruining our lives. I looked her straight in the eye and said, no, you ruined mine when you left me alone. They thought I was invisible, but my will is rewritten, my legacy renamed. I didn't just lose a family that night. I built a new one, and now they'll never forget me.
Eleanor, thank you for joining us. I'm sure your story will leave us with lessons to remember.
Sure.
I didn't sit at a table, crowded with plates and laughter. I ate a reheated bowl of soup, alone, while my family posted photos of their feast online. They didn't forget me. They left me out, deliberately. And when I saw their smiling faces spread across my phone screen, something inside me shifted. But let me start from the beginning, so you understand why this betrayal cut deeper than most. I'm Eleanor Price, 74 years old, widow, mother of 2, grandmother of 4, retired nurse. 40 years at St. Francis Hospital, most of them spent on my feet, patching up people who didn't know my name but called me dear and sweetheart. I carried trays, wiped brows, held hands when machines went silent. I never got rich, but I kept the lights on and raised my children without letting them feel the cold edge of poverty. When their father died young, I took double shifts. 12, sometimes 16 hours. My hands cracked from sanitizers, my back stiff from lifting bodies heavier than my own strength. But I did it. I paid off the little house in Riverdale brick by brick. I packed lunches in paper bags. I sewed Halloween costumes from thrift store fabric. I saved every extra dollar for their schooling. My daughter Claire went to college on scholarships, but when she came up short sophomore year, I cashed out a small retirement account to cover the gap. My son Daniel wanted to start his own auto repair shop. Banks turned him down. I took out a personal loan under my own name to get him started. Every cent paid back to me? Not one, but I didn't care then. They were my children. I thought love was investment enough. Thanksgiving was always our holiday. Not Christmas. That one was loud, messy, expensive. Not Easter. That came and went too fast. Thanksgiving was steady hours, the one tradition I clung to after my husband passed. Every year I baked my cornbread dressing and cranberry relish. Daniel carved the turkey, Claire brought wine. The grandchildren ran wild through my hallway, giggling, smearing chocolate fingers on my sofa, but I didn't mind. My house smelled like garlic, butter, and laughter. And even when the years got busier, when jobs and marriages and babies shifted things, they still came back. Until this year. The silence started weeks before. Usually Claire calls me about 2 weeks out. Mom, what time do you want us there? Or Daniel texts, I'll pick up the turkey, don't worry. But this time, nothing. No calls, no texts. I shrugged it off. Maybe they were busy, maybe plans were slow. The week before Thanksgiving, I sent a group message. I'll make the dressing. What do you need me to bring? No reply. I waited a day, sent a second message. I can host if you want. Still nothing. The message sat there, 2 gray checks, no blue. I told myself it was fine. Kids these days always on the run. Maybe they'd call last minute. So I still baked. Habit more than hope. A pan of cornbread the night before. Cranberries simmered on the stove until the house smelled sweet and tart. I set my best table runner out. Polished the silver my mother gave me. Wore the blue cardigan Daniel once said made me look sharp, not old. And then I waited. The hours stretched. Morning sun faded into afternoon gray. My phone stayed flat, lifeless. By 2 o'clock, I made myself tea to keep from pacing. By 3, the food cooled on the counter. By 4, I finally sat down at the kitchen table. 1 plate, 1 fork, 1 bowl of soup. The turkey I had ordered sat untouched in the fridge. I whispered grace alone, and for a moment, I convinced myself they must have canceled altogether. Maybe no one was having dinner. Maybe this was just a lost year. But then I opened Facebook. There it was. Claire in a silk blouse, glass of red wine raised high. Daniel, laughing beside her, a plate full of turkey and mashed potatoes. The grandchildren lined up around a long table in Claire's suburban dining room, candles flickering, dishes spread like a magazine cover. The caption, "So grateful for family," couldn't ask for more. Thanksgiving # blessed. My heart stuttered. I scrolled further. Photo after photo. Claire's husband carving the bird, Daniel's girlfriend holding pumpkin pie, even my cranberry relish on the table, the same bowl I gave Claire last Christmas. They had taken my recipe, my dish, and sat around a table without me, not one chair empty, not one plate missing. It wasn't forgetfulness, it was choice. I didn't cry then, not yet. I stared at the screen until my tea went cold, until my back ached in the chair, until the laughter in those photos sounded louder than the silence in my own house. And then I saw the comments. Where's Eleanor? Didn't she make her famous dressing? Missing grandma in this pic. Claire replied to one, "Oh, Mom wanted a quiet one this year. She wasn't up for traveling." Daniel added a thumbs up emoji. I felt something harden inside me, because that was a lie. A neat, polished lie to cover the truth. They had excluded me, erased me, and made me invisible while the world cheered their togetherness. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room with the lights off, scrolling through the photos again and again. I zoomed in on their smiles, the grandkids' faces sticky with pie, Claire's smug tilt of her chin, and I remembered every sacrifice, every check written, every night spent awake waiting for them to come home safe, every small dream I had buried so theirs could bloom. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like forgiving. I felt like fighting. The next morning, I opened the drawer by my bed. Inside was a folder marked estate. My will, written 5 years ago, left everything, house, savings, insurance, to Daniel and Claire, split evenly. I'd even written clauses for the grandchildren's education funds. That folder used to give me peace. Now, it made me sick. Why should the people who left me alone on Thanksgiving inherit the fruits of my life? Why should betrayal be rewarded? I thought about the women at St. Agnes Shelter, where I used to volunteer. Women abandoned by families, left without homes or help. I thought about the young nurse at St. Francis, Maria, who once cried in the break room because her student loans were crushing her. People who needed help. People who hadn't turned their backs on me. By noon, I had called my lawyer. "We need to make changes," I said. Her calm voice replied, "All right, Eleanor, tell me what you want to do." That was the moment. The moment betrayal turned into clarity. The moment I stopped being the silent matriarch waiting for scraps of attention and started being the author of my own ending. Because if they could post their version of Thanksgiving for the world to see, then I could post mine. And I could make sure the truth didn't just sting their pride, it rewrote the legacy they thought they controlled. The lawyer's name was Margaret Hale. We'd known each other since her early days at the county courthouse. She was sharp, steady, the kind of woman who never wasted words. When she answered my call the morning after Thanksgiving, I could hear the click of her pen through the receiver. "You sound certain, Eleanor," she said. "I've never been more certain," I told her. We scheduled the appointment for Monday. That gave me 3 days. 3 long days to sit with the betrayal and let it burn clean through me. On Friday, I avoided social media altogether, but Saturday evening, curiosity pulled me back. Claire had posted again, a carousel of family photos with the caption, "Memories made, hearts full." I scrolled through them, jaw tight. One photo stopped me cold. My cranberry relish, glistening red in the bowl I recognized, placed right at the center of the table. And the comments rolled in. "Looks delicious." "Claire, you've outdone yourself this year." "Recipe, please." She replied, "Family secret." My recipe, my bowl, my holiday, and she dared to call it hers. That was the moment the bitterness gave way to resolve. They didn't just exclude me, they wanted to erase me. Take what I built, polish it, parade it as theirs, and pretend I was never part of it. Well, they would learn what happens when you cut out the root and expect the tree to stand. Monday came. I wore my gray wool coat and the scarf my late husband bought me on our 20th anniversary. I walked into Margaret's office with my folder in hand, my steps slow but deliberate. She stood as I entered. "Sit, Eleanor," she said gently. "Let's go through this together." We spread the documents across her desk. My will, old and yellowed at the edges, with Daniel and Claire's names neatly typed beside my assets. The house, fully paid off. Savings accounts totaling just over $240,000. A life insurance policy worth another $80,000. A modest nest egg, but one built from decades of labor, penny pinching, and sacrifice. I tapped the page with my finger. "Strike their names," I said. Margaret looked at me, eyebrows raised. "Both." "Both." Her pen hovered, "and the grandchildren." I hesitated for a moment. Their faces flashed in my mind, innocent, wide-eyed. But then I remembered their laughter in Claire's dining room while my plate sat empty. Not one of them had asked, "Where's Grandma?" Silence isn't neutral. It's choice. "The grandchildren, too," I said firmly. "Then who will inherit?" Margaret asked. I already knew. Half to St. Agnes Shelter for Women, half to a scholarship fund for nursing students at St. Francis Hospital. Margaret's lips pressed into a thin smile. "A clean cut. Are you sure you don't want to leave a token to your children, even a small portion?" "No," I said. "They had their chance, and they squandered it." We worked through the details line by line. It took hours. By the time I signed the last page, my hand ached, but my heart felt strangely light. Margaret slid the documents into a folder. "It's done," she said, "legally binding." I leaned back in the chair. For the first time in decades, I felt like I wasn't simply surviving my family's choices. I was making my own. But it wasn't enough to change papers in a lawyer's office. They had paraded their false Thanksgiving for the world to see. They had lied about me, turned my absence into some quiet preference. If I stayed silent, their story would stand. No, I wanted the truth laid bare. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my phone. My untouched turkey still sat in the fridge, my cornbread dressing sealed in foil. The candle I had lit on Thanksgiving night was nothing but a stub of wax. I scrolled back to Claire's photos, the smiling faces, the captions dripping with false gratitude. Then I opened my camera roll. I had taken one picture on Thanksgiving Day. Me, sitting at my table, a bowl of soup, a single candle, and the cranberry relish untouched in the background. My face plain, unsmiling, not angry, not dramatic, just true. I stared at it for a long time, then I opened Facebook. The cursor blinked in the post box. My fingers shook as I typed. This was my Thanksgiving. I baked, I waited, I dressed in my best, but no one came. Instead, I found the photos online. My family gathered together, using my recipes, sitting at a table where my chair was deliberately left out. They didn't forget me. They chose to exclude me. They lied and said I wanted a quiet one. The truth is, I ate alone. I attached the photo, just one, me at my lonely table. Then I added one more line. I spent my life working to give them everything. But last week, I rewrote my will. None of them will inherit my home or my savings. That legacy will go to women and students who know the value of showing up. Because family isn't blood. Family is who keeps a chair open for you. I pressed post. At first, nothing. Silence. I sat there staring at the screen, wondering if I'd gone too far. But within minutes, the notifications began. A cousin in Ohio commented, "Eleanor, what happened? I thought you were there." A neighbor down the street, "This breaks my heart, we love you." Old friends from the hospital, "You deserved better, always." And then the shares started. Dozens, then hundreds. By midnight, strangers were commenting, women writing, "This is my story too." Men saying, "We need to do better for our mothers." Hashtags appeared, #elders deserve respect Thanksgiving truth. The post had gone public, in a way Claire never intended. The next morning, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Claire called 5 times, Daniel 3, I didn't answer, let them stew. Instead, I opened Facebook again. The comments had tripled overnight. My photo had been shared more than 1,000 times. People wrote things like, "This could be my grandma," and "Families who abandon elders should be ashamed." Claire finally sent a message, "Mom, this is out of control. Can we please talk privately?" I didn't reply. I didn't need private. They had made it public when they posted their feast for the world. Now the truth was just as public. That evening, there was a knock on my door. Hard, persistent. I peeked through the curtain. Daniel stood there, shoulders slumped, a plastic container in his hands, probably leftovers, a peace offering he thought would fix everything. I didn't open the door. I didn't need his scraps. After a few minutes, he left. Later that night, my granddaughter Anna sent me a message. "Grandma, I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong. I didn't say anything I should have." I read it 3 times. My throat tightened. For the first time since Thanksgiving, tears burned in my eyes, because silence was betrayal too, but at least she acknowledged it. Still, I didn't reply. Not yet. She needed to sit with it longer. By the end of that week, the story had spread beyond family drama. A local news outlet picked it up, then a regional one. Headlines: "Grandmother excluded from Thanksgiving goes viral after sharing truth." The comments flooded in even faster. People wrote letters. Some offered to visit me for Christmas. Others sent pies, flowers, cards. Strangers became kinder than my own blood. And through it all, Claire and Daniel scrambled. They posted defenses. There are always 2 sides, but the screenshots of their comments, their lies, were already circulating. They couldn't polish this truth. I thought revenge would feel hot like fire, but instead it felt cold, sharp, clear, like glass breaking cleanly. Because this wasn't about rage, it was about justice, about reclaiming my story after they tried to erase me. And justice wasn't done yet. Because they didn't know the final piece. They didn't know I had already cut them out of the will. And when they did, it wouldn't just sting their pride. It would break the very foundation they thought they stood on. By the second week after Thanksgiving, I couldn't walk into the grocery store without someone stopping me. "You're Eleanor, right? The one from Facebook?" "Yes," I'd answer, keeping my chin up. They'd pat my arm, tell me I was brave, tell me I deserved better. Funny thing, strangers saw me clearer than my own children. Claire finally came herself one evening. She didn't knock softly. She banged like a police raid. "Mom, open up, we need to talk." I stayed in my chair by the window. She called again, her voice sharp. "You've humiliated us. The kids are crying. Daniel can't go to work without people whispering. You turned the whole world against us." I almost laughed, not against them, toward the truth. I opened the door only halfway, enough to let the cold air in, not enough to invite her. Her eyes were wild, hair unbrushed. A woman used to controlling the narrative, suddenly stripped. "What do you want, Claire?" I asked, calm. "Delete it," she said. "Take down the post." "No. Please, you're ruining our lives." I looked her square in the eye. "I didn't ruin anything. You did that when you left me alone." Her face reddened. "It wasn't like that." I cut her off. "Don't lie to me again. I've read your words. She ruins the mood. She moves too slow. You wanted a picture-perfect holiday without the inconvenience of your mother. Congratulations, you got it." Her mouth opened, then shut. She had no defense. "Now leave," I said. The door closed in her face with a quiet click. By December, the storm had spread far wider than Claire or Daniel expected. News stations debated it on morning shows. Pastors mentioned it in sermons. Social workers used it in seminars about elder neglect. I didn't ask for the spotlight, but I didn't run from it either. For once, the truth wasn't buried under polite silence. Then came the letter from Margaret, my lawyer. A neat envelope with a single page confirming what I already knew. The will had been filed, notarized, witnessed, legally airtight. Daniel and Claire no longer stood to inherit a dime. I sat at the kitchen table holding that paper, and for the first time, I felt something like peace. Not glee, not bitterness, just the steady relief of finally choosing myself. Christmas crept closer. The neighborhood lit up with colored bulbs, wreaths hung on doors. I baked cookies for the ladies at church, not for my family. On Christmas Eve, I brought a pie to St. Agnes Shelter. The women there welcomed me with hugs, with warmth that didn't demand blood ties. Some were older, some younger, but every face carried the same story etched in different ways. Left behind, overlooked, discarded. We ate together, not turkey and wine, but stew and bread. Simple, honest, and not once did I feel like I didn't belong. That night, they showed me the plans for the expansion my bequest would fund. A new wing, the Eleanor Price home, bedrooms for women who had nowhere else. A safe place, permanent, with my name on the plaque. Tears blurred my vision. Not out of sadness, out of recognition. My life's work, the nights on my feet, the money saved in envelopes, all of it would shelter women like me. Forgotten by some, remembered by others. That was legacy, not a staged photo on Facebook, not a caption dripping with false gratitude. Real shelter, real comfort. The first week of January, Daniel called again. His voice on the voicemail was strained. "Mom, please, I messed up, I know, but the will, Claire said you changed it. Tell me that's not true. Tell me you didn't just cut us off." I saved the message. Not to listen again, but to remind myself of something. Regret comes cheap when it's about money, not love. I never called back. Claire sent one last letter. Handwritten, not typed. I read it carefully. "Mom, I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know it wasn't hate. It was pride, maybe, wanting to show the world I could host, that I could be the center. I was wrong. I hurt you. I know it's too late, but I am sorry." I folded it, placed it in my Bible, not because she earned a place, but because I wanted to remember. Pride ruins more families than poverty ever has. By spring, the story had faded from headlines, but not from memory. People still stopped me sometimes. "You're the lady who told the truth." Yes, I suppose I was. Daniel and Claire, they kept their distance. Too ashamed to face me, too angry to forgive me. That was their burden, not mine. Anna, my granddaughter, tried again in March. She came by with flowers, left them on the porch with a note. "Grandma, I just want to sit in your kitchen again someday. I miss you." I let the flowers stay. Let the note stay, but I didn't open the door. Redemption isn't denied forever, but it isn't free either. The shelter opened the Eleanor Price home in June. I stood there with a pair of silver scissors, cutting a ribbon in front of women clapping and children tugging at their mothers' coats. My name etched in bronze on the wall. I smiled, not for cameras, but for myself, because for the first time in 74 years, I wasn't background. I wasn't invisible. I was seen, steady, and leaving behind something stronger than blood. Sometimes, in the quiet of evening, I still think of them. Daniel as a boy, grease on his hands, grinning over a bike he fixed. Claire, head bent over a textbook, the lamplight catching her hair. I loved them more fiercely than my own comfort. But love without respect is just servitude. And I had retired from servitude. If you asked me now what Thanksgiving means, I'd say it's not about turkey or dressing or even family in the blood sense. It's about who makes space for you at their table, who notices when your chair is empty. My children had their chance to make space. They chose to erase me instead, so I posted the truth. And the truth did what silence never could. It set me free. On my 75th birthday, the women from the shelter surprised me. A cake with my name, a chorus of voices singing off-key, laughter ringing louder than anything I'd heard in years. I blew out the candles and made a wish, not for reconciliation, not for wealth, not for health. I wish simply to keep this: peace, honesty, chosen family. Because that's what I'd learned. Blood can betray you. Silence can wound you. But chosen love, the kind that comes from people who see you, really see you, that's the family worth fighting for. So yes, I ate alone on Thanksgiving, while my family posted their dinner online. But I didn't stay alone. I stood up, I spoke out, and I carved a new legacy where my name will never be erased. That, in the end, is the sweetest justice I could have ever served.